We are recording now on Zoom. All right. And I believe we're going live on, let's see. Yeah, I think, okay, cool. All right. We're going live on YouTube. We're live on Zoom. Hi, Patty. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Jeff.
Can you hear
Charlie
me?
might not be joining us. He's not feeling very well.
I'm sorry, one more time.
I said Charlie might not be joining us. He's not feeling too well.
Oh, well, I'm really sorry about that. I wonder if I should, yeah, why not try to go live here on, all right. My condolences to Charlie. I hope Charlie gets better. I don't like that he's not well. But let's go live here. Oh, I didn't title it, but oh well. I'm live. All right. We're live on hello. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Zoom. We are live on YouTube. Hello and welcome to another installment of Get a Clue in 52. It's Sunday night. We are feeling all right. And it is 8:01 p.m. And hello, Patty. You're live with me on Zoom. So hello to you. Anybody following on the Facebook side? Hello to you. And of course, we're streaming into the YouTube channel. Watch, Get a Clue. All one word. Watch, Get a Clue. Now, full disclosure, I was golfing earlier today. Come off the golf course. I'm feeling good about myself. I shot I think a 108 on a very, very, very tough golf course. And some of you out there maybe you're like going, what's he talking about? 108. Like, you don't brag about a 108, and I'm not bragging. Trust me. But I feel good about it. I really feel good about it. I'm not bragging, but I feel good about it. And hats off to my good friend Tom Wanless, who showed me Madeiras golf course. First time I played Madeiras here in San Diego. Really tough course. Oh my God. I thought I was getting better at the game golf. And then, wow, the course showed me how much more work I have to do. But we are here. Get a Clue in 52. Full disclosure, like I said, I'm coming off the golf course. Read between the lines. You might know what that means. And we are going into tip number 7 tonight, right? Tip number 7, I believe, is where we're at. And we're in the communication section. We're starting with communication, and then we're going to move on to marketing and networking and sales and accountability. And I want to pick up with the dedication. I want to pick up with the dedication section. Yeah, last week was week number 6. That was when we honored Patty and Charlie. Now, if you have the book in your hands, you'll know there's a lot of people I thanked, a lot of people, and I like to start with a dedication. So this week, here we go. Let's start off with Marianne, then Abigail, then Mom, then Sue, then Robin. Last week, Patty and Charlie, and now this week's dedication is to Marissa. Thank you for all your help with the first edition of the book. Done was certainly better than perfect. And I certainly would have not started or finished the first version of the book without you. Thank you so much for continuing to believe in me as we take this thing to new heights. All right, there we go. That was dedication number 7, the 7th person. Well, it's actually the 8th person if you get Patty and Charlie, but 7th dedication. And next week is going to be a tough one. I already am looking ahead. Oh my God, next week's dedication is going to be emotional. Probably going to cry during that one, but not tonight. We're just going to move right along. So, Get a Clue in 52. We are in the communication section, and this is tip number 7. In the communication section. And so, tip number 1 was checking baggage. We all bring things to communication. We all show up with stuff, right? And the 3 big bags are personal, history, culture, and heredity. When we understand that about ourselves, we can anticipate that about others. We're going to become better communicators. We're going to be more careful a better encoding. We're going to be more patient with our decoding when we understand our own and anticipate others' baggage. All right, that was tip number 1. Tip number 2, invite all of your senses to the listening party. Yes. Listening is a party. I consider listening a party. Hello, Alejandra. I see you. Hello. So we want to invite all of our senses, like the difference between listening and hearing. Hearing is physiological, listening is psychological. So what's the first difference? Attending. When we pay attention to what we observe, we can observe things that come in through the eardrums, but we can also observe what we touch, what we smell, what we see, and so forth. I encourage us to invite all of our senses to the listening party. All right, tip number 3 in the communication section was overcome these. You'll overcome a lot. What are these? These are the barriers to critical thinking, the barriers to listening, the barriers to being objective, the barriers, dare I say, to loving. Alejandra says, I agree. It's important to decide. Conversion. I practice 4 lens change. Okay. Help me understand. See people. Okay. I don't know if I'm getting all of this. Alejandra, I'm going to look back at your comments in a minute. See if I can integrate them into the conversation overall. Let me get through the review of the communication tips and read tonight's tips, and then I'll turn my attention back to your comments. All right. So tip number 3 is overcome these, and you overcome a lot. What are these? 5 barriers to critical thinking, stereotyping, and self-interest, and frozen evaluations, and ego defense, and ethnocentrism. Those 5 personal tendencies prevent us from listening, prevent us from being objective, prevent us from thinking critically, prevent us from, dare I say, loving. And I teach it, and I'm still guilty. Why? Because I'm a human. So we all do it. Those are all of our personal tendencies. But the more we're aware we are, the more we can mitigate. All right, tip number 4, replace statements with questions. Questions are king. I love questions. Questions are powerful. And if every time you endeavor to make a statement about how things are, if you slow down and replaced that statement with a question, how much better off would you be in your efforts to communicate effectively? I bet a lot. I bet you'd be a lot better off. All right. Tip number 5, CSI, communication. That's a fun one. I always have fun with that one. Crime scene investigation. We're drawing our attention to evidence, the material that makes our claims more believable, more acceptable, more acceptable than they would be on their own, right? So sometimes we say something and just saying it is believable and acceptable. Like 2 + 2 = 4. Nobody would question that. But if I said, the election was stolen, now what evidence do you have? Or I say, I digress, right? Tip number 6, eye contact is power. This is where we were at last week. I love eye contact, and I love how, Facebook Live, I'm making eye contact now. Zoom, I'm making eye contact. If you're watching on Watch Get a Clue on the YouTube, you got to look right into the camera. You have to look right into the camera, right here. You have to look right into the camera, right there, right? If you want to give the experience of making eye contact when you're doing your Zooms, you have to look right into the camera. Earlier in this week, I was in Northern California helping a client of mine, Vipul. I don't know if he's going to show up tonight. Vipul, he has shown up in the past. Vipul Dayal. He's shooting an e-course. I love this. He's shooting an e-course last week about how hoteliers that are attached to a brand like Comfort Inn or a Days Inn or a Hampton Inn or these brands, they have there's a lot of hoteliers that have contracts with these brands, right? And they get a lot out of that because they're connected to the brand. But some of them want to go boutique. So my man Vipo, he's gone boutique. He went from brand to boutique in Northern California with Hotel 1550 in Northern California, very close to the San Francisco airport. And then he's like, well, I figured out how to do it and I'm doing it. Let me shoot an e-course. And so he invested in the money and he got the studio time. And I went up there with him. Marissa went up there with him, and we helped him shoot his e-course on how you go franchise to independent, brand to boutique. And eye contact came into play because we had to talk to people about looking right into the camera to make sure that he was giving the learner on the other side of the camera the feeling as if he was talking right to them. He's a pro, so coachable. He did such a great job. We got most of our stuff done in 1 or 2 takes. He was awesome. It was incredible. And there's so much more we can say about eye contact. But tonight, we're going to move into tip number 7. Here we go. Having said all of that, here we go. Get a clue in 52, 8:11 p.m. The tip number 7 is Joe loves Mary. But there's a question mark there. This is one of Patty, this is one of the first things I found that I want to change for edition number 3. It's question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation, question mark. If I had it my way, right, it'd be like, let me just make sure you see Joe loves Mary, question mark, exclamation, exclamation. I don't want it to be one or the other. I want it to be vague. I want it to be ambiguous. What? Is it a question? Is it an Here's what I'm getting at. All right, word for word. Joe loves Mary. 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 It's the same 3 words every time, assuming shh and punctuation do not count as words. But I can say those same 3 words in a way that changes the meaning every time. Again, the words never change. You can do it too. Ready? Ready to have fun? Go ahead. Meaning number 1. How would you say it if you were a kid teasing another kid, Joe or Mary, on an elementary school playground? That's right. In that neener, neener, neener voice and rhythm. Okay. Meaning number 2. How would you say it if you were one of Mary's best friends and knew Joe was the man of her dreams? Yeah, with that rising inflection that is kind of celebratory, kind of cheerful. Yep, okay. Meaning number 3. How would you say it if Joe is already dating Susan? Yeah, you'd put that vocal question mark at the end of it. Also a rising inflection, but in curiosity, unlike the celebratory rising inflection of a bridesmaid. So happy for her bestie. You get the idea, do you? I added that. That's not word for word. The 3 words never change. Joe loves Mary. But when we change our nonverbal communication, everything other than the words, we change the entire meaning. The point here is that Cluby snack. Here it comes. Here's a Cluby snack. How you are saying what you are saying is, in fact, what you are really saying. The meaning is not conveyed by the words. They're just the Trojan horse, if you will, to usher in the nonverbal communication that gives us the real meaning. Letters are to be found in words, but meaning can be found in the nonverbal communication, including punctuation if text only, in parentheses, with which those words are delivered. Several changes to our pitch, tone, volume, projection, and range of steadiness to fluctuations in any given aspect will change the meaning of the expression. The same goes with posture, special body movement, as well as gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact or lack thereof. All have a huge impact on the meaning of our words. Sometimes our nonverbal will serve as repetition for the words we offer. Other times it will contradict the words, such as sarcasm or irony. A simple raise of the eyebrows acts to complement or accentuate the words. Other times, nonverbal signals function to substitute for words. And they even help us protect ourselves and control our environments by use of space, positioning, gestures, and eye contact or lack thereof. Like when you walk by someone and avoid eye contact so you don't have to say hello. It's a great idea to read at least one book on nonverbal communication in this lifetime. I recommend anything by Dr. Peter Anderson, my former professor, great friend, and current mentor, who has forgotten more about nonverbal communication than I've ever learned. And I taught the subject for 20 years. And always remember that how you say what you are saying is, in fact, what you are really saying. I'll say it again. How you say what you are saying is, in fact, what you are really saying. All right. There we go. Tip number 7 on the word for word. And I'm going to open it up now. Patty, you're the only one live with me on Zoom. So why don't we go ahead and open it up for some conversation? If you have any comments, questions. I always think this is a fun tip just because of how many different ways we get to say, John loves Mary. But what do you have to feed back to me on, Patty?
Well, the examples you give are very clear. And we sometimes, when people...
Hang on a second, Patty. I forgot to...
Forgot to mute the dog, right?
Yes. Good now. You should be able to hear me now, right?
Yeah. So
okay, good.
The examples that you give are really clear. However, sometimes I think it's ambiguous what people are meaning by what they're saying. So, it's sort of like, then maybe we have to go back to the previous tip and ask a question, right? If we don't really understand something.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things to me is we judge ourselves by intent, but others are just judging us by our actions, right? So when we're held to account, very often it's like, well, you said blank.
Right.
And now that's what's in dispute, right? So can you role play this with me, Patty?
I'll try anything once.
Yeah, that's funny. Ask me how I'm doing.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm fine.
That good, huh?
Well, I'm fine.
What do you mean by fine?
I'm great. How are you?
I think I'm better than you are.
Well, we all know that. Anyway, all right, let's stop the role play. Okay, right? So you hear it, right? I'm fine, great. Those are the words.
Correct.
Right? But now, hey, Patty, role play this with me. Hey, Patty, last week we were on the, let's imagine that role play that we just did was a week ago.
Okay.
Right? Now let's switch it. Let's say that I'm Patty and you're Jeff.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, last week when I asked you how you're doing, you didn't say you were doing too well.
I know.
No. All right. All right. I'm sorry. Let's turn it around. I'll be me, you be you, but you do that. You say the same thing I just said.
All right. So last week you didn't seem to be feeling too well. How are you feeling this week?
What do you mean? I said I was fine.
Now you got me. I feel like I'm playing tic-tac-toe.
Right? Okay. So, all right. Thank you. But you and I both know that I wasn't doing well in that role play.
Correct.
right? But I can say, I said I was fine. And guess what? That's true. I did.
Yes. You
I
did
said I
say
was fine. I said, wait, I said I was fine. I said I was fine. I said it was great. But you knew that the way that I said it was more important than the word that I said. And that's like the most simple way I can explain this. We judge ourselves by intent, we judge others by action. A lot of times we communicate to people and we let a word go out there that is the Trojan horse, but the way that we've said that word is the real thing that we're really saying. And then if we're held accountable to saying something that we shouldn't have, we can say no when we fall back on this word in its neutral sense, but the tone, the volume, the pitch, the rate, the emotion that was infused into that word through our nonverbal communication is what we were really saying.
exactly your Kubi snack.
Yeah. How we're saying what we're saying is, in fact, what we are really saying. So, this is a very sensitive time in our country's history, isn't it? Every week, Patty, right? And, if you're not paying attention, the former president just got acquitted of inciting insurrection against the Capitol. Now, I don't care how you vote on this, one way or the other, right? What a fascinating study of nonverbal communication, right? When I sit here and I tell you that how you say what you say is in fact what you're really saying, how can you then say that I didn't really say that? I digress. I don't want to get into too big of a political jam here, but we are in Get a Clue in 52. Tip number 7. And I'm drawing your attention to nonverbal communication, paralanguage. So a parachute is the thing that I attach to myself that keeps me safe when I'm flying out of an airplane. Parasite is the thing that attaches to my skin like a leech to suck my blood out. Para whatever. So paralanguage is what we attach to the words. John loves Mary. 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 Like, it's the same 3 words every time, but my paralanguage is what changes the meaning.
Well,
and
they say that words, right?
Hello, Todd. How are you? I see you with me. I see Michael. Sorry, Patty. Hang on 1 second.
Right.
I see. Just let me acknowledge Alejandra and Michael and Todd. I see you guys out there. Keep the comments rolling. I'll try to address them as they come about. Go ahead, Patty. You're live with me on Zoom. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, you know how they say communication, the very small percentage of it are the actual words. And that's because of all this, right? That comes into play with communication besides just the words themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, I don't know what statistics you're quoting, and I don't care. Whichever statistics you quote, is it 55%, 97%, 83%? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It depends who's
doesn't matter.
reading them.
Whatever statistic you want to quote from whatever study you want to quote, it all draws our attention to the idea that the word is neutral. In and of itself, it's ambiguous, by the way. It's neutral and ambiguous. Words are neutral. Oh, there's a new Klubi snack. Oh, if he were on the line. If Charlie were on the line, I got to go ahead in my journal and write it down so I don't forget it. Right? Words are neutral and ambiguous. I said it. Did you hear me?
I did.
Help me out. Keep going, Patty.
Well, they do have an intrinsic meaning, though.
It's a black hole, though, isn't it? Here's what I mean by that. I'm just writing down ambiguous for my note. All right. What I mean by that is, have you ever seen one of those deals where, like, if I had a mirror right here, and then the camera right there is going to the mirror, and then you can see into this mirror the camera, and you can see. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's something reflecting on itself.
Right. And how many times back is
replicates. You know what I'm talking about? All right. Well, that's the image that comes into my mind when I think I want to go into the dictionary and find the definition of any word. Because all I'm going to find are words that I can then dive into the definition of and keep diving and diving and diving and diving like a rabbit's hole. Does that make sense? So
the black hole effect of a word.
yeah. So dog. My favorite example is dog. Let's see what Michael James has to say real quick, Patty. Okay, unambiguous. I don't know, something unambiguous, right? Why would you hold anyone accountable unless you truly love them and have asked permission to share? Michael, let me tell you right now, when we get to the accountability section, if you haven't checked out the first version, don't ever do it without anybody's permission. Like that's just number one. Don't ever try to hold anybody accountable without the permission. But we're in the communication section right now. So let's get back to the communication section. There's 5 sections in this book: communication, marketing, networking, sales, and accountability. We're going to finish accountability comes at the end of the year, although we did it at the end of last year, so it's kind of fresh right now. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, Michael. You don't ever hold anybody accountable without their permission, because you're just expecting backlash. But we're talking about communication tonight, and that's what we want to focus on, and not just communication. This is tip number 7. We had 6 other tips prior to this. Tip number 7 tonight is about the nonverbal, the paralanguage, what we are attaching to the words. So a lot of times we hide behind the words that we've chosen. A lot of conversations go like, oh, I know what I said. I didn't say that. What I said was blankety blank. Well, you meant this. And people feel what you mean because of the nonverbal, regardless of the words that you chose as the Trojan horse. That's the major point we're getting at tonight. Patty, let me come back to you with me live on Zoom. By the way, if you guys want to join live on Zoom, come on in. tinyurl.com/get-a-clue. Very simple. tinyurl.com/get-a-clue. You can come on in on the Zoom side and we can have live interaction. Patty, what else do you got for us?
Really, that is all that I was resonating with. Is that it can be simple or it can be very complex, and you demonstrated that, right?
Yeah, when you say it can be simple.
The way that the tone, the paralanguage of words, right? That's what you're calling the tone and the inflection and even the context of where it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to go cluba diving real quick? You want to dive a little deeper with me?
Sure.
All right, just to go cluba diving a little bit deeper on this, we have a left side and a right side of our brain, right? Okay, and most people know lefty, LL, lefty logic, righty, emotion, right? That the left side of my brain is logical, systematic, structured, linear, 1, then 2, then 3, A, then B, then C. That's the left side of my brain, right? Whereas the right side of my brain is emotional, or more graphic, pictorial, colorful, some might say, imaginative, creative, and so forth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dare I say? Are you ready? Emotional. I said it. Emotional. Everybody say it with me. Emotional. Okay. And yeah, it's funny too, because I remember Olivia Newton-John, let's get physical. I can't sing for crap. My daughter's laughing at me right now somewhere, right? Let's get emotional. Like, can you imagine the song, right? Nobody can work out in tights and leotards and a headband to let's get emotional. Let's get into emotional. It just doesn't work. Okay. As much as I wanted to. And thank you for laughing at me, laughing with me, but I'm willing to be vulnerable here to make my point, right? I'm talking about the emotions, right? The right side of our brain is emotions. So how we feel is one thing. What we choose from an organized system of symbols. I'm going to say that again, Patty. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
An organized system of symbols. That's language. Dictionary, thesaurus, grammar, spelling, punctuation. Organized system of symbols. There's one side of my brain that I'm using to choose the words from the organized system of symbols.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever mood I'm in, right? However I feel, that's going to be the packaging. That's going to be the nonverbal, how I say it. Right? I'm trying to joke right now. I'm hearing my wife in the kitchen right now. How was dinner? Oh, dinner was great. Patty, stop laughing. My wife always cooks really, really well. We had like asparagus and grilled chicken. It was just absolutely the yum of the yum of the yum yum, right? Like I'm like a better person right now because of the dinner that Marianne made for me. Right. So the idea is this, Patty, why do people follow me? Why do people like me? Why did we get the group up to 600 and something people? Why do people enroll in my coaching and leadership training? Why do people want to get coaching from me? Why do people pay attention when I speak in public? Why are people buying my book? Because my nonverbal is usually congruent with my verbal.
Yes. And it's humorous often.
Thank you. Thank you for that compliment.
But it's also your total understanding of human nature.
I wasn't going to go that far. I will. Thank you. It's easier when somebody else does it. Tell me more about my total understanding of human nature.
Well, now you want more, huh?
Okay. No, I digress. Wow. My total understanding of human nature. Thank you. That's like a compliment too heavy for what I really wanted to share. I really wanted to just keep it at the level of, hey, are you congruent? You guys out there, it's not about me. I already know what I'm doing. Is your nonverbal communication integrated with your verbal communication? Is there congruency or incongruency? When you're using words, is your nonverbal communication complementary, accentuating those words, reinforcing those words, giving roots to those words? Or is your nonverbal communication creating a disconnect and raising the eyes and the eyebrows, raising doubt and curiosity and discernment and scrutiny? When you're saying what you're saying, I mean, I don't even, Patty, I say this every week almost. I don't want to get into politics. But did anybody watch the impeachment trials? Did you ever notice any like congruency or incongruency with the words that were being read versus, I mean, are you paying attention to the nonverbal communication, ladies and gentlemen? It's just it's rather obvious once we train our sensibilities. And I digress. I don't want to get too political.
Well, you bring it up a good point about the coherency and the integration. So I would suggest, or maybe I'll ask you this as a question. When someone is more coherent and their words are integrated with their action, it's like they understand more about what they're talking about. They have a deeper understanding of how what they're saying relates to who they are, what they do, what they believe.
I'm with you. I would only want to course correct a little bit. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You said they understand, right? I just would replace that word understand with believe.
Okay.
So it sounds like this. They understand what they say. They understand what they're saying. When people whose words have congruency and integrity with the nonverbal, they understand. You're close. I would go further and replace understand with believe. They believe in what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, there it is deeper and different.
It's different. It's different. I can understand. Listen. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't care who I upset, right? Because we're all upset, right? But if I'm Trump's third legal team, that means that I'm the legal team that wouldn't agree to lie. Make sense?
Could be,
Right?
yeah.
I like the first. No, I'm not going to say that. Bill Barr split and how many 16, 17 White House officials. Like, in other words, like the man is demanding that you go out there and you tell his lies for him. That's what he's demanding. Okay. And so, first legal team, no. Second legal team, no. Third legal team, no. I'll go out there and lie, which means, and now you go back and watch the videotape. They're reading this stuff, and they didn't write it. They don't believe it. But they have to perform it. They have to act it. They have to read it in the same rhythm with which Trump or Roger Stone or whoever wrote it. And sorry if you're a big Trump follower and you think everything he does is great. I don't care. Okay. The bottom line is, when the impeachment managers were making their case, their emotions were congruent with what they were reading. Right. And when Trump's lawyers were doing what they were doing, they're performing and putting on a damn show. And that's if you're studying the nonverbal communication that's attached to the verbal communication, period. And Republicans, hey, congratulations, you guys. You're working to save your party, and God bless you. I hope you do. I hope you do, because we need a strong Republican Party. We don't have one right now. You guys are split, either Trump or your real values of individual responsibility and limited government and so on and so forth. And I don't want to get a Coon 52 down a political hole, but God, doesn't politics give us rich understanding of these tips that I'm trying to point out to you? When you are speaking and your nonverbal is incongruent with what you're really saying, people notice. People get it. The facts, the merits of the case were not disputed. He got off on a technicality. So those of you in Trump land that are celebrating, congratulations. I don't know what you're celebrating. The guy's guilty. He's guilty, period. End of story. All right, I digress. Patty, what else do you have? Nonverbal communication.
I think it's fascinating that Charlie's not here, because he'd ask you for a Cooby snack, and this may be the only chapter that has a Cooby snack right in the words.
Right in there. Yeah. How you are saying what you are saying is, in fact, what you are really saying. And it is called this. The word I want to give is fidelity, the purity, the cleanliness of the communication, which is measured by its honesty. And we're not dumb. We're human beings, which means before there was language, there was nonverbal. It's the first language, nonverbal communication. We had to look at the saber-toothed tiger, and if it smiled this way or that way, if it showed its teeth, that's what told us if we were in trouble.
We ran.
We ran like hell. We didn't say, "Hi, saber-toothed tiger, do you feel like eating me today, or do you want me to pet you?" You are of the feline species, and there are felines that like to cuddle and purr and rub against the leg. Is that what you like to do right now? Or do you want me to be your next meal? Well, we don't have that conversation. Okay. But we are still observing nonverbal as acutely as we would.
Right.
In that situation. We haven't that's not lost on us. What I'm trying to say is, you can't hide your broccoli in a glass of milk. People know when you're lying. And if they don't call you out on it, it doesn't mean that you got away with it. It just means they don't have the energy to call you out on it, because then you're going to lie again and say, "No, I'm not." On and on and on. Right? But how you are saying what you're saying is, in fact, what you are really saying. I want to point your attention to the nonverbal communication that the words are wrapped up and packaged in, because that's the real message. Patty, what else?
Well, you were talking about the saber-toothed tiger. And when I was visiting in Alaska, like there are two different types of bears, right? There's the grizzly bears and the brown bears.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those you don't want to ever look at and confront, and the other one you never want to run away from. So it's like you have to know which bear responds to which
And it's not
nonverbal.
because the bear tells you with the verbals, is it? You have to look at nonverbal. What color bear is this? And it's
And
nonverbal that tells you,
yeah,
right? So understand that everything other than words is nonverbal communication. Everything other than words is nonverbal. Most of it is our meaning making mechanisms. What meaning do we make of what we see and observe and hear and feel and understand? And so, right? So when you add up all these tips together, invite all of your senses to the party, eliminate the barriers to critical thinking, understand the baggage that you bring and others bring. We're working on becoming better communicators, right? When you look at this tip in a vacuum, it's cool.
however,
When you look at this, Tim, in the context of the 6 others and the 3 more that are coming, how fun is that? So before I ask for last call, what else, Patty? Anything else? Comments, questions? You're the only one with me live on Zoom. We're in Get a Clue in 52, tip number 7 in the communication section. And we 7, what does that make? We got 45 to go.
you know how the quote, "A picture is worth 1,000 words,"
Yes.
and there's also the quote that a word is worth 1,000 pictures.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's from that Nobel laureate, and I don't know how to say his name for sure. Eli Wiesel.
I'll leave that one to you. But I hadn't heard that, consider it, but I'm always into the like the mutuality of things, right? People say, "Oh, you're in San Diego. I love San Diego." I always say, "Well, San Diego loves you."
I like how you say that. Yep.
You've heard me say this a lot of times. When somebody says I love something, I'm quick to say, "Well, it loves you too." Right? And so do words and music. Words and music love each other.
They do.
Words in tone, words in pitch, words in pace, words in inflection, words in projection, words and they all love each other. If they all love each other, congruency, fidelity, integrity, does it all match up? Are you believable? Are you believable? All right. I know you're believable, Patty. I've never heard you tell a lie, and I never will.
Hope not.
No, absolutely not. You got those days are over. I'm like, why would you? Like, anyway, you're like just a wonderfully sweet big sister, Patty. I love you so much. Get a Clue in 52 is about to wrap up. Let's go ahead and do last call. Last call for comments, questions on the Facebook side, on the YouTube side, on the Zoom side. Get a Clue in 52. Tip number 7 tonight is all about nonverbal communication. The tip is John loves Mary. Remember we started John loves Mary, John loves Mary, John loves Mary. 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 Same 3 words.
Yep.
Same 3 words, John. Every time, but the meaning's different every time. when you change the nonverbal. Now, are you paying attention to when your nonverbal is either congruent or incongruent with your verbal, and how often you have that congruency, how often you have that fidelity, how often you have that integrity of logic and emotion when you're communicating words and nonverbal. Patty, last call. Any comments, questions, offerings for Get a Clue in 52 tonight?
Just thank you, as always, for sharing your knowledge and deepening our knowledge. I'll speak for anyone that hears this.
Patty, thank you. I love you so much. It's my pleasure. It's just I don't know what else to say. I'm grateful. Like I got a reason to do something every Sunday night, right? I've got a reason to start my week off in a beautiful way, and I just can't thank you enough for being here with me every week. So right
And
back at you.
send healing medicine to Charlie Energy.
We'll do. Well, to Charlie and everybody around the world that needs it. I mean, there's a lot of people. I know there's a friend of mine, Lisa Lieberman Wang, who her husband's in ICU, and I think she got to see him today for like 15 minutes for the first time in like 20 something days, or I don't even want to think about it. It's just, it's traumatizing. I went through it with my parents when I couldn't see my dad, and just healing energy to everybody out there that needs it, because we all need it. We all need it. So thoughts, prayers, love, kindness, love, light, goodness, integrity, virtue, righteousness. Let's all put our collective heads and hearts together for everybody. All right. Good night, Patty. Here we go. See them with a kiss.
All right.
All right. I love you. Mwah. Good night, everyone. Get a Clue in 52. We'll see you next week.